Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and this is going to be my fifth video for the day. So anyway, uh, finished with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and put together my notes. Yeah, wow. The name of this episode is Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire, and it was a good episode. It's one of those kind of episodes that makes you say, wow, who writes this kind of stuff? And oh yeah, Jimi Hendrix. But on a more serious note, fantastic episode. We get to actually see Uncle Eli Morrow, Robbie's uncle, and he's not really a bad guy in this. Maybe he is, but they're really switching it up again, like I mentioned last issue, so much that I don't recognize it as it is in the comics. It's very different, and I'm totally okay with it. Robbie's getting to the point where yeah, he's going to have his own television series, his own spin-off. They didn't do it with Mockingbird like they were supposed to. Don't know why. Not happy about that. But they could do it with Ghost Rider, and they should, because he's getting to the point where he's really outshining the rest of the S.H.I.E.L.D. cast, which I absolutely love. He lit up this time. And you know what? Here, back to Eli. Eli is a PhD engineering grad, and he was tasked by these guys at Momentum Labs to make a quantum particle generator. What this is supposed to do is something that, yes, exactly, it doesn't work in real science, is to make something out of nothing, to make matter out of nothing, not to convert matter, to actually create matter. That's impossible. That's impossible. Yet somehow that's what this is supposed to do. And it was made available because of the Darkhold, which totally awesome references here. Nick Fury was never able to find this book, according to Agent Coulson. Neither was Whitehall, former Hydra owner, member, boss thing, and the Red Skull. Excellent. Love the Red Skull references. Really hoping that Hugo Weaving decides to come back and complete his contract and do the Red Skull. Lucy goes and visits Joseph Bauer, I think the guy's name was, and he's in a coma. He's the only one who didn't actually get turned into a ghost when everybody else did. He pushed everybody too hard, apparently. Pushed the project too hard, and that's why everybody became ghosts. He went into a coma because Eli Morrow beat the living snot out of him, apparently. So that's why Eli's in jail, and that's why this guy's in a coma. Well, Lucy goes and visits him, and does her little tendril thing into his head and wakes him up from his coma. Now, I did a quick little bit of research first in my head, and no, I don't know who Joseph Bauer is. I don't see him anywhere online, so that's a weird thing for me. But hey, cool. Introduce something new. I'm good with it. Ada had a couple of really good scenes in this. She made herself prevalent, and she was helping out Agent May. Agent May didn't realize what was going on, and towards the end, she even met all the other people in S.H.I.E.L.D., and only Gemma was able to realize, Gemma Simmons, she was able to realize that, hey, she's artificial, she's an android, and she confronts Fitz about it and says, listen, you can't tell anybody about it, you're always taking lie detector tests, that's why we couldn't tell you, because you would have had to reported it to the new director. So she understands, and tomorrow there's supposed to be a lie detector test, mandatory, so what's she going to do? She's got several lies to tell, one of which is that she's now working with Daisy Johnson again, because she goes in the very beginning of this episode to meet up with someone who's going to show her this cool apartment for her and Fitz to move into, and it turns out it was actually a ploy by Daisy to get her to come in and help suture a wound and help her to find out how it is that the watchdogs are able to break into S.H.I.E.L.D.'s databases in order to find Inhumans and start offing them. Well, it turns out that, and Gemma had a really cool boss scene in here where literally, boss, there's an elaborate plan to break into the S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities and enter a data chip to do all these different things and have access to the servers. Gemma Simmons simply walks up to the girl who is supposed to be infiltrating all this stuff, gives her the flash drive and tells her, hey, listen, go make sure you enter this with all the other stuff that you're doing. And the girl says, okay. Why? Because Simmons is the boss. So the girl has to listen to her. So yeah, literally, total boss move. And it's funny seeing Daisy just flustered, like, but I had a plan. She kind of had like a Mike Wachowski moment from Monsters Incorporated when Sully would never go with any of the plans that Mike had, and he's always just, you gotta follow the plan. And yeah. So they do their little data hack, and they find out that the next person who's supposed to be killed by the watchdogs is James. Do you remember him from last season? He was the guy Hellfire. He had the chain that lit up with literally Hellfire. Yeah. I don't remember what his full name was in the show, but he is supposed to represent the character Hellfire, James Taylor Carter. He is one of the last remaining members. He was actually killed by Nick Fury. He was one of the last remaining characters who was related to the original Ghost Rider from the Marvel Comics, Carter Slade. So, yeah, James Taylor Slade, not James Taylor Carter. James Taylor Slade. Well, James is working in a fireworks factory. Yeah, he's all combustible like that, and he wants to work with fireworks. Okay, whatever. Daisy and Gemma explain that the wristwatch is, the tag that keeps a tab on him and all the other Inhumans, and says you're going to need to take that off so that you don't get tracked by the watchdogs and killed. He says, well, mine wasn't actually voluntary. It was mandatory, so he can't take it off. Even though it hurts Daisy, she uses her powers and makes it fall off. And it's a good thing she does, because it winds up alerting the guys at S.H.I.E.L.D. to come and do a rescue mission. They need a rescue mission because the watchdogs show up in this storage facility. Daisy was actually trying to recruit James into her Secret Avengers. Didn't quite work out because, as it turns out, just like in the comics, he's a traitor. He actually worked with Hydra in the Secret Avengers comics. Here he's working with the Watchdogs. So he ends up cornering Daisy and Gemma and pulls down a chain from a storage bin and ignites it with Hellfire and gets ready to just take them out. More to come on that. As you may have guessed from my doe-like eyes that express such love whenever they start doing a Ghost Rider scene, oh yes. Oh yes. Robbie shows up at the prison penitentiary to try and get that information from his uncle. Well, Agent Coulson and Mac happen to be there, and there's a little car chase scene. They're chasing in Lola, but Lola doesn't fly anymore. Remember, that's the red hot rod, cherry, beautiful car that don't ever touch it, according to Coulson. The one that can fly. Well, the flight controls have been damaged. Not that big of a deal. Agent Coulson is an amazing driver, especially with Lola. Beast mode, and he's able to catch up. And we're talking about a really high charged Hemi engine underneath the hood of the Ghost Rider mobile. Well, all that energy in it crashed right into an invisible shield jet, Quinjet. I don't know which one it was, but crashed right into that puppy. Well, there was not a dent on it, but yeah, Robbie got knocked unconscious, hit the steering wheel. No airbags? Really? I guess they'd burn up. Now, this is one of those things where a little tiny incident can actually bring good feelings to you. Robbie is locked up in one of those inhuman containment devices, and they're interrogating him, not waterboarding or anything, just, back and forth, the banter. Well, Agent Coulson fairly quickly lets him out and says it's totally a trust thing. And just that little thing was like, you know what? That's excellent, because sometimes you especially in Marvel, it seems like you're just trying to find a way to get the good guys to fight each other, because you know that your bad guys usually aren't quite up to par. So yeah, Marvel needs to work on their bad guy situation a lot. So they wind up trusting each other. They're going to go and try and find out what's going on with Joseph Bauer, but there's a pit stop. It turns out that they noticed that James Taylor Slade, if that's his real name in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, his wristband got turned off, so they had to go and figure out what's going on there. So they go there and they're fighting the watchdogs, and that's when Robbie comes upon James about to hit them. I told you more on that later. Well, he catches that Hellfire chain and he yanks it from him, looks at the chain, and nerdgasm moment, he looks at it and goes, huh. Because we know that Ghost Rider is supposed to use a chain. Johnny Blaze didn't until after Danny Ketch came along, but then he started using the chain also, and the pen and stare. And I actually thought there was going to be a pen and stare moment in here because the battle goes along pretty quickly, but it does come to a point where they're face to face. So we've technically got essentially two versions of Ghost Rider face to face with each other, and it's great. It was a really quick little battle, but again, Robbie did change into the Ghost Rider. They had a quick back and forth, and it was nice. He actually came outside of course, fireworks factory to skull, flame heads, whatever. They start going after with each other, and of course, there's fireworks exploding in the sky. They were safe by standing just a few meters away, which is interesting because, fireworks go in more directions than just up. But, far be it from me to bring a little reality to it. So Robbie ties him up in the chains, brings him out, drops him off, and says, "You did say alive, right?" And he actually kept him alive, showing that he can work as a part of a team, which is great, even though Ghost Rider is totally a solo kind of guy, unless he's working with other Ghost Riders. But for now, that was really good. I like that. I'm very happy they did that. More than that, he keeps the chain. He actually looks at it again and just throws it over his shoulder, stares at the other guys real quick, and then walks away. Like he's keeping the chain. That's great. That's great. And guys, that's pretty much the episode. So, absolute love it. Double thumbs up. This, you know what? I'm going to start this now. I was just given some advice by the Nerdarchy crew, and said to keep with the whole theme of Comic Book University. It's a school. I'm going to switch from thumbs, which any hitchhiker could do, because this isn't Vagabond University. So, Comic Book University, this is going to get, for me, this is an A. Absolutely love this episode. Guys, Comic Book University, Professor Bill, class dismissed.